Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Freight Master Resources. For those of you who have never been here before, my name is Tim, and today I am going to talk about long-term success as a freight broker. All right. Before I get into all of that, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button for me, smash that bell notification so that you get notified when I do these videos. All right. So, and one more thing before I get into all of that. I'm tripping up here, guys. I'm sorry. I haven't done a video in like a week. I have had meetings. I've been doing some one-on-one consultations. In fact, I have another one scheduled for Thursday evening. It's just been crazy. I was gonna try to get a video in over the weekend, but I kind of needed a break. I needed to spend some time with family, get some things done around the house. But here nor there. A quick little PSA, okay, before I jump into the topic for this video is to take care of your eyes. Guys, if you haven't noticed, for those of you that watch the channel regularly, I am wearing glasses, okay? I don't know, staring at computer screens all day long, whether you're a broker or a dispatcher, and even for you drivers out there, take care of your eyes. If you're out on the road, wear sunglasses. Me, I couldn't hardly ever stand to wear sunglasses. And so this is like a huge change for me. Kind of throwing off my depth perception. I feel like I'm walking funny and everything, but I am starting to get a little bit more used to them. But anyway, just a quick reminder, guys, I used to have 20/20 vision. Take care of your eyes, all right? I'm not even going to go into what my eyes are now. It's bad. It's real bad. Okay? So I was in denial for a long time. So anywho, talking about long-term success, all right? We've talked in the past in previous videos about goal setting, right? Your daily, weekly, monthly, yearly goals. All right, and that's great. That's vital. To me, that's vital, right? But ultimately, and big secret, there's no secret at all. Build your relationships. Focus on building your long-term relationships. Obviously, we can go to our customers, our shippers, and we ask, hey, what do you have for us today? Yada yada yada. Always trying to get that sale. But if you're not focusing on long-term relationships, servicing that customer, and long-term relationships with your carriers, that's very nearsighted, right? No pun intended. But yeah, focus on your long-term relationships. And, I've talked in the past about, once you get your book built, right, we never stop cold calling. We never stop building our book. Because let's just take a hypothetical right now. You've got a customer in Houston that has a regular lane that you run. You have carriers that run from Houston to Chicago. Let's just say, all right. And for whatever reason, something happens. Your fault, their fault, nobody's fault. No more freight. Freight dries up with that customer, right? So we keep working on keeping that carrier relationship, not leaving them high and dry, and constantly be cold calling, getting more customers that fit that lane or a very similar lane, a parallel lane, that works for them, right? And then obviously with the rates that you've all become accustomed to. But I mean, obviously there's other ways that you can mismanage your business and destroy your long-term success, on the back end. But ultimately, relationships are key, and not short-term relationships. I can't tell you how many times I see these fly-by-night brokerages or carriers. They're in for a quick buck, and and then they destroy it, and they could have had something really, really good. And it's sad. It's so sad, So this is why, and I've probably talked about it before, in other videos, and I've also, talked to, when I do my consulting, that's one of the first things I tell people is to focus on your long-term relationships, and networking, never stop, networking. But yeah, it's not a huge secret or anything. If you ultimately want to, be truly successful as a freight broker or a freight agent, build those relationships. Don't just, post your loads out on the load boards, and you will have some shippers that say, hey, you better have good carrier relationships because we don't want to see our freight out on a load board, right? In fact, I have one customer, they've just changed their policy. They don't want to see their freight out on a load board. Thank goodness. I do have trucks that run these particular lanes, and have for me in the past. So, very, very good. Another thing that I want to, I'm sorry if I'm jumping around here. I've got way too much on my mind for this video. Is, statistically speaking, for some of you guys that may be starting out or maybe, kind of hit a slump, statistically speaking, more of your prospects are going to work with brokers than they are carrier direct. Now, you are going to hear, from some of your prospects, are you asset based? Oh, we only worked with direct carriers or whatever. BS. There is a small fraction that do, but overwhelmingly, probably upwards of 90-95%, I forget the exact number, work with brokers. And so, what I'm trying to tell you is don't get discouraged, right? Going by that old school rule of thumb, trying to make 100 calls a day, especially if you're just starting out, obviously it's going to be more difficult to make 100 calls a day once you build your book and, you're moving freight, but, constantly keep prospecting. But yeah, I actually picked up a new customer today, and they actually flat out told me. He asked me if I was actually a carrier or a broker, and I thought, did I maybe not make myself clear? Was there a, click in a line or something like that? He didn't hear me, but yeah, he said he only works with brokers. And his current broker, I guess, kind of hasn't been performing all that well. So they're kind of on their way out, and I'm on my way in. So we're getting the paperwork processed, right? So yeah, don't get discouraged. One day it's going to happen. You might be, 2 weeks in, you're doing 500 calls a week. That 1,000th call, you're going, man, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of the rejection. Well, when you're brand new, especially if you don't have any kind of a sales background or anything, it's going to be tough, but when you stick with it, once you get that first yes, your confidence is going to build, and just, you're going to be out there hammering them even more, and there again, if you're having problems, what to say, when you're calling, for you guys that are brand new, like I said, we've got some free resources on the website. There's some different sales strategies as far as, finding customers or getting customers to come to you. Obviously, I wouldn't rely completely on waiting for customers to call you. It does happen. Happened to me 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. 4 weeks ago. I'm sorry, 4 weeks ago. I actually had a customer call me, is 2 counties over, and asked me to start moving some freight for them. They don't do a whole lot, but more than happy to oblige. So it does happen. And then there again, by networking, referrals, yada, yada, yada. Some of the qualifying questions that you'll want to go through. And then, some sample cold calling, just kind of an example. And obviously you can kind of tweak that to your own needs, and things like that. And I would prepare a cold email. And that's something that maybe I should kind of put up there. I should put up a copy of a cold email. I guess maybe one of the reasons why I haven't is because I don't want to kind of give the impression that, you're going to be overly successful with acquiring new customers strictly by emailing. I know that there's some out there that kind of prefer to do things that way, but maybe they've already got a book, built up. I don't know what their particular situation is, and so they rely heavily on the, emailing. But anywho, here nor there. Obviously, guys, hey, we got a lot of stuff out there. The free classifieds. Free to join. There's information on the load boards. Obviously, I like DAT. Speaking of which, let's just take a quick intermission here while I kind of regroup on some of my thoughts here, because like I said, I've got tons and tons to talk about. So, yeah.
Need to find loads and trucks fast? DAT connects carriers, brokers, and shippers with the most user-friendly load board in trucking. Subscribe for access to the most loads and trucks in the industry, the best freight rates, data, and more. Start finding loads and trucks today.
Okay, and we are back. All right. So, yeah, it's kind of sitting here while that was going on and thinking, even though it's only been like, a week and a half since I did my last video, it seems like a month, right? So I'm all amped up to talk to you guys about different things. So we kind of talked about some of the basics on long-term success, obviously building relationships and things like that. Reminded you guys about, the freight broker sales pitches on the website, the freight news, if you want to keep up on that, the free classifieds, load board, if you're looking for factoring, there's all kinds of stuff in there, right? Books, if you're putting your office together, there's some essentials there that I recommend. Just something I thought I'd throw out there for you guys if you were interested. And I may add some more to that. And then obviously setting up your business structure, getting your authority, your surety bond, insurance, and all of that. And last but not least on that, guys, if you're having problems or you're just looking for, a list maybe, to work on, to build your book, you're just starting out or looking to, increase your book. Maybe you've got a handful of customers that you're currently working with, maybe they're, not shipping as much as they were. I know for me, for example, I've got a couple of my customers, they're only working 3-4 days a week right now. They're just, things have kind of slowed down and it more so I've noticed out of certain states, right? So, yeah, always be building, right? Constantly cold calling and building your book. And if you're an agent, expanding your agency, bringing on sub agents and training them and things like this and teaching them to cold call, there you go. You got 100,000 plus leads for them to call on, when you're training them, dispatchers, if you're calling on behalf of your carriers, looking for new business, for them to work with Carrier Direct. It's all there. It comes in a zip file, and it is all broken down state by state. And guys, as always, I always make sure you guys get an email copy of it, no matter what, right? Because I'm always, I don't know, I'm one of those nervous Nancy maybe that, something happens or, and then sometimes I get people, they, oh, how do I download it? They get confused or something. I don't know. It doesn't happen very often, but regardless of the fact, I always do email it. If you don't see it right away, check your spam folder. Okay, I've talked about that in the past. It's always there. So, anywho, yeah, guys, remember, focus on your long-term relationships. I'm gonna probably wrap this up. because I just have way too much on my mind, and I shouldn't have probably jumped into this when I did. I kind of had what I wanted to talk about, and I ended up being all over the place. So, but anywho, yeah, focus on your long-term relationships, guys. In every aspect. Your accountant, your carriers, your shippers, and if you're bringing on more carriers that are interested in. Okay, let me back up for a second. If you're brand new and you're starting out building your customer base first, right? You're focusing on building your book first, which you can build your carrier base first. You can go either way with that, but let's just say you're focused on building your book first, right? And you got your first customer. They hand you a couple of lanes to work on, and you've got your loads posted on DAT, and carriers call you, ask about the load and everything. Ask them and if this is a regular shipment for you, whether it's once a week or once a month, or maybe it's every other day or every day. Ask them if that's a lane that they run very often, or do they get back into that area very often. Start building that relationship while you're discussing that load, right? I mean, I do that quite frequently. Hey, is this a lane that you run very often? If I'm trying to build capacity, my carrier base, to move that freight. And if there's anything to watch out for on the receiver end or the shipper's end, I always make sure that they're aware of that. I got nothing to hide. So like if there's typically long delays at the receiver or something like that, maybe check in early. Try to check in early if possible, or yada yada. After an hour, give me a call. Let me and I'll see what I can do. Whatever the case would be. But build those carrier relationships, and if you're building your carrier base first, ask them what lanes they prefer to run, and then focus your efforts when you're prospecting in those areas. Right, going back maybe to my example, maybe you've got a carrier that likes to run that, Houston to Chicago, for instance. It could be anything, but I just pulled that out of the hat, right? But yeah, always focus on, building your relationships, always, always, always. And you will be more successful, rest assured, right? When you start reading about, or maybe you're on Facebook and some of the groups and things like that, or talking, being mentored, I rest assured that they're going to tell you that it's all in building relationships. They're not just, one-offing everything. You'll never okay, your odds of being successful long term are going to be very, very thin, right? Doing it that way. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. I appreciate you watching. Again, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All right, I'll be back sooner. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.